Welcome to SmartAbout for 2021 and a Happy New Year, if that's the right thing to say in these uncertain times. I'm starting off the year by doing a couple of months of looking back over a video production I was making every month for the last 3 years. It was called the Maythorn Monthly, and it started in February 2018. I somehow missed out January, and I just sold a property just up the road from here, terrace house, and I was off to Spain, and I was starting to make videos there and to play around with the techniques, like showing you I'm beaming myself out to Spain.
Thank you. Hello, it's Brian in Spain, and thanks to the other Brian. And you're not going to hear much from me now because I've had no proper internet connection, so I haven't been able to send much back. I've got some pictures I can let you see later, and the weather's not been great. It's been raining a lot, but I'm out today. It's nice and sunny, and the place is drying out. Still a lot of puddles around the place, but that's all I can tell you for now because we haven't got much of a connection back home. So back to you, Brian, in Liverpool.
I'm actually standing at the kitchen sink where I decided to wash my hands after getting a bit grubby around the flat, and found something I would have otherwise missed. The mixer tap, yes, it's a mixer tap, on the sink here is broken. It leaks in a big way. It's one of those pull-up lever things, and the water goes sideways instead of down. That was a flat in Kirkdale, Liverpool, I was looking after for another landlord who lives down south, and I do that kind of thing from time to time. I'd started the Maythorn Monthly with the idea it was going to be more of a TV program, if you like, less of a vlog where somebody just sits in front of the camera and yatters away. I was going to make it more a TV production, and I thought I'm going to copy the early TV pioneers, the ones like ATV, Rediffusion, Granada North and all those people, by having a logo and a piece of music that accompanies it. Do you remember how they used to do that? So I decided to try and build something for my Maythorn Monthly that was like a TV logo like you've just seen, and I decided to use the hawthorn tree because I believe Maythorn is a hawthorn tree, isn't it? I don't know much about that sort of thing, but I did find a video on the internet which showed a year in the life of a hawthorn tree, and it was all speeded up, and I decided to use that, get a burst of music and make that my Maythorn Monthly theme.
So this is Castelldefels, which is just outside, but it's just south of Barcelona. I've stopped overnight here because I flew into Barcelona late last night, and I'm going to continue my journey down to Oropesa del Mar by train this afternoon. There's no access to this castle, big wall, fence beyond that. Guess it might be open in the tourist season, but this is the middle of the winter, can't you tell by the weather?
By now you might have got the impression that I would normally spend a good part of the winter in Spain to avoid the cost of running a gas central heating in Britain. Of course, this year's entirely different, can't go anywhere, keep booking flights, they keep getting cancelled, and so I'm just stuck here in Britain. But I do like to reminisce. It's made me feel quite sad really when I look back on some of the videos I was doing. Moving on with the Maythorn Monthly now to March, let's have a look round the resort where I normally go. It's called Marina d'Or.
These apartments that I'm in now, they're on the second line. I'm in my own building, but a couple of floors down below in a friend's apartment. These apartments were being sold for over 200,000 euros. If you want one now, you can buy this one. We're keeping an eye on this one for the owner. But this area has been well put together. Perhaps too many apartments. There's a few amenities, bars and restaurants, not as many as we'd like. But some great gardens. In Spain you're not allowed to develop the couple of 100 meters between the sea and where you start your building line, so they've taken advantage of that and put gardens all the way along, and they really are good.
I was doing my filming in Spain with a camera called the Osmo, and I'm actually still using that now. It's a very small camera on a stick. This stick is actually a gimbal. This is the later version, which I've been using in recent years. This is the Osmo Pocket, and I'm actually going to turn this on now, and so you can have a look at the rig that's actually
recording me now. There's the microphone. So I'm looking back at the Osmo now. Now I'm going to move the Osmo Pocket round so that it can see the other Osmo camera. I hope they don't mate. And it's the Osmo that was used in all these early videos.
La cuenta atrás ya comenzó y nos reunimos en Marinador. Es la ciudad de la ilusión que despierta tu imaginación. Bienvenidos a Marinador, todos juntos con esta canción. Bienvenidos a Marinador, todo un mundo de color, fantasía y emoción. Da comienzo nuestra diversión. El telón se abre ya y queremos disfrutar todos de esta gran fiesta. Es momento de la acción, de sentir satisfacción, de vivir para soñar y disfrutar jugando. Nuestras mascotas te acompañarán y ahora os presentamos Pulpita, Pica, dulce y divertida, Sirena, sin Marina, simpática y divina, Pirata, miau miau, el gato más valiente y la más bella de la noche, Estrellita. Vamos juntos a formar, todos firmes, capital, Dafiodor. Y ahora llega desde el mar, Poseidón. Marinador, todo un mundo de emoción. Marinador, fantasía y diversión. Marinador, la ciudad de la amistad que convierte en realidad todas las ilusiones.
Marinador, qué guay.
By April 2018, I was starting to do a news type program, news and views about the places I was visiting. And right at the start of the program, I was doing what the BBC News do at the beginning of their programs. They give you a list of things that are coming up in the News at 1 or whatever it is. And I developed that style and put clips in of the things I was going to be featuring in that month. Coming up in this month's Maythorn Monthly, we visit the Trithing Cottage, explore the plumbing in Kirkdale, a former social club in Birkenhead, a hearty breakfast in Woolwich, and some amazing graffiti in Peterborough. All that and this month's look into the archives with Radio Maythorn.
As you probably gathered, there's a kind of Brian's Travels element to the Maythorn Monthly. I go places because I need to for various things. I might as well take the camera with me and you might as well see where I'm up to. You don't have to watch, you know, but I hope you will, because I find the places interesting and I film them because I think you might too.
Premier Inn is just the other side of a dual carriageway, and you get there via this underpass. It's covered in magical graffiti.
Next stop is West India Quay. When leaving the train, please remember to take all your belongings with you.
This is the major project for 2018, and as with any renovation, we start with the strip out. The girls agreed to come up and smash the original kitchen out, with Colette and Jess wielding the pickaxe and Abby clearing up after them. Abby didn't have old clothes with her, as apparently no one had told her that they were doing it. The purchase of a large estate car last month was fully justified, as it took on its first role as transport to the tip, and the first of many, as you may imagine. I've been working with Abby on camera techniques in recent months, and so she was totally happy with filming when I was busy.
Now everything I do is on a budget, and by May I progressed to travelling to Bulgaria. It's a place that I've spent a lot more time at since, and it's become very popular with my YouTube viewers. They love to hear about Bulgaria, and we've got lots of other people involved in that. So I, as I say, do everything on a budget as cheaply as possible. I travelled for the first time that year into Bulgaria and up to Svishtov, where we stay overnight by the River Danube, by train.
A lot of my adventures in Bulgaria centre around Svishtov, seen on the top right of this map of the country, and Sofia, where the main airport is down the bottom left. You have several options for getting up to Svishtov from Sofia Airport. The obvious one is to hire a car and drive all the way yourself. Or if you just stick your head out of the airport terminal, you'll see the metro station, and the metro will take you into the centre of Sofia, where you'll be able to catch a mainline train across the country. The metro ticketing system is pretty high tech. The locals can have apps on their phones, and they can tap their phones on the gate as they go through. If there's a ticket inspector on the train, the locals can wirelessly have their tickets checked by an app. The main thing to remember when travelling on the metro is to change at Serdica and do the last two stops up to the Central Railway Station on a different line. This is not one of the trains you'll probably be getting. This is far too modern. The trains you'll get up to the north of Bulgaria are quite old, the sort of thing we saw on our railways in the 60s. The journey up to Lezki on the train is quite scenic, going through the Balkan Mountains, and you'll often see snow in this region at many times of the year. So just enjoy yourself, sit back, talk to the locals if you can find some English-speaking ones, and enjoy your journey. It'll take you a few hours, but it'll be well worth it.
In Spain, we'd always gone by train, and I actually did one of my reports that year from a little cafe bar opposite the station at Oropesa del Mar, where we had a couple of hours to kill before our train back to the airport was due, so I sat there and talked to the camera. The first thing I noticed was, on arrival in our apartment and standing on the balcony looking at the street scene, I looked down and I saw a load of tables and chairs below. We have a new cafe at the entrance to Costa Azahar 1. It's the other entrance to where B3 is, so there's a cafe there, and they do food as well. So if you want somewhere to eat, you now have a choice of two places just in our building. Secondly, in February I told you that the Mercadona was closed. It seemed like a bit of a shock horror story, but they were closed for refurbishment, and there were trucks all over the car park. There was an empty warehouse building 2 months ago. There is now another Quesada market, a Chinese place, I assume. I only stuck my head in because the resort's very busy at the moment, and I didn't want to get trampled underfoot at that point. But it looks as though it sells food as well, and it's another really big place that you can go shopping in. So it's growing, things are getting better.
Donde poder soñar, vive junto al Mediterráneo, descubre nuestra tierra, ven a Marinador, conoce nuestra gente, ven a Marinador.
By June 2018, I was definitely getting excited about what you can do with video and how you can pretend to be in two places at once and handing over to myself in a totally different country. I was enjoying doing all that, so I did more of it, including my home area of Wirral, and I do explain in a moment exactly where the Wirral is for those who didn't know.
From the UK and from Spain, this is the Maythorn Monthly. So this is New Brighton on the Wirral. The Wirral Peninsula is a piece of land that sits between the River Mersey and the River Dee.
I tend not to go to Spain in the middle of the summer. There's several reasons for that. One, it's too hot for me. I overheat. Two, it's expensive in the summer. And of course, three, it's very busy. Now, I quite like busy, so I did go in July in 2018, and I did do some filming around the resort. I also meet up with other people who own apartments in the same resort at Marinador. One of them is in Burnley.
Todos juntos con esta canción, bienvenidos a Marinador. Todo un mundo de color, fantasía y emoción, da comienzo nuestra diversión. Es tu gran día, la fantasía abre sus puertas solo para ti. Ven con nosotros, estamos contigo. algo tan bello, maravilloso, es lo más grande que puedas sentir. Un universo de sensaciones, niños y padres se divierten aquí. Siente la magia y la diversión, reparte sonrisas con el corazón. No olvides que estamos contigo en Marinador.
I also started to take advantage of the 4K ultra high definition of the Osmo camera by producing features about particular areas that I could bring home, put on a big screen like the one behind me, and you could watch them and see the beautiful quality of the places I've been. Like this one in Castellón de la Plana, it's not far from Marinador, and this is the Parque Ribalta, just a nice place to relax. I'm in the Parque Ribalta at Castellón de la Plana, and I'm just wasting a few hours here. And everywhere I film I seem to get some kind of interruption. Today it's the birds that are being fed behind me. I have to say that it's a good thing here. They don't feed them bread, which isn't good for them. They're feeding them lettuce. I said I mainly spend time in Britain in the summer holidays, so I was obviously taking video in places up in Cumbria when I had a rail rover. I love to travel by train normally, not allowed at the moment, and so Whitehaven was the first of these. You'll see this now. New Brighton on the Wirral, which is the area I mentioned before. They had a food festival on. That was interesting to go and browse around, and it brought things from Spain back as well, because the Spanish food was right here on the Wirral.
Being in the school holidays, my grandchildren were getting involved, so you're increasingly going to see them helping me out with properties that I'm maintaining and getting involved with operating the camera, holding the microphone, and anything else they could get involved with. I also tried some filming on a mobile phone, something I've never really approved of, but it helps because grandchildren understand all that side of it more and they're happier talking to a mobile phone.
What were you asking me about the pencil?
Why is it chewed?
I don't know. I haven't chewed it. I'm not. Pencil's not my flavour. Somebody else whose pencil it was before me must
Don't
have.
chew pencils.
I don't chew pencils. Do you chew pencils?
Yeah.
A large part of what I did on the Maythorn Monthly reflected my radio career from the 70s and 80s, and there's a March of Sound promotional video just running at the moment. I was at March of Sound in the 80s. Now, I'm not on this particular programme going to feature any of the radio stuff because I have a separate section on YouTube for my broadcast collection, Brian's Broadcast Collection, BBC. Welcome back to the house on the hill in Oresh, Bulgaria. We're looking over the village of Oresh, and behind me is the annex to the main house that I am due to restore over the next few years. The annex is the first job, and the first job on the annex was the roof. Next year I plan to do something with the building behind me to turn it into a one-bedroom flat, It will give it a bedroom, a bathroom, a living room, kitchen diner, something like that. There's a piece just behind me here that's never been used as outside space, and I intend to do something with that.
So, still in July 2018, we take you back to Marina d'Or to the floats procession that takes place every weekend right through the year. August was the month when my friend Colin bought himself a drone, and we took it to a flat roof near his photographic studio to give it a fly, but it didn't. C'est la vie. We had all this huge expanse. We were very safety conscious. It wasn't going to fly into us and injure us. It wasn't even going to take off, so another time perhaps. But we will have some good aerial photography for you at some point in the future on the Maythorn Monthly. watches us on CCTV, so he'll no doubt be entertained by this. And I could walk backwards while Colin comes over and watch those cars. Okay, stop. Thank you. That's close enough. Thank you very much. And back to you. Walk this way.
Once we knew the drone was able to fly properly, we had two uses for it. One was to follow people around at ground level, and the other was to peer at them from the skies and watch them working.
Welcome to the Maythorn Monthly for October 2018. I'm in Svistov, North Bulgaria, and I've got a room overlooking the Danube. You can see a bit more of that later, but now let's go back to my home village just outside Chester.
And now for something completely different.
This is the sundial. I'm going to stand on the month. Where are we? Somewhere around 11, 12 here. Okay. So now the sun, which is just about out, is casting my shadow between the 10 and the 11. And actually should be between the 11 and 12.
But the gurus over there are telling me it's because we're in British summertime. Shouldn't it be called Bulgarian summertime? Yes, it's GMT +1 we're in. So the sun's behind a cloud, that's just perfect timing. There we go, it's casting a shadow somewhere in the right area. Between the 10 and the 11, +1 would be between the 11 and the 12. How's that?
Action. Hi, it's Abby, and I went to Australia in the summer holidays and I took my camera. Here are some photos.
It was a complete surprise to me that I could actually find in a small village in Bulgaria a swimming pool with sunbeds all around it and a bar where you can get food and drink. This is the experience I really wanted when I was in Spain at Marina d'Or, because it's what I've come to expect in Spain and in the Canary Islands over the years. To me, as a non-swimmer, the pool is a place to socialise, drink, eat and so on. So I was surprised and extremely pleased to find that in the middle of a little village in North Bulgaria there was this pool and there were drinks and it was great. And Spain, you've got a lot of catching up to do here. There were reports coming from the Wirral at New Brighton Beach of a giant being washed ashore. The locals did the best to revive him. First they sent in a violinist on the back of a truck to see if the gentle approach worked. Then they went for the marching band. Finally they brought in the crane, because the only way to lift a giant up to his feet would seem to be with such a device. Okay, so as one comedian once said, it's a puppet. And it was a French puppet that had been sent over, and it had come with a team of acrobats to make it happen. They brought their own music, their own band, and their own puppeteers. They're an energetic lot, as you can see.
Yay, lovely jubbly!
I've got my split personality with me again because I'll be going back to Bulgaria as well as travelling across the UK, so keep watching the Maythorn Monthly. So back in Bulgaria, and you may ask what the attractions are of Oresh. Well, I've already shown a few in the past, including things like the village still and a number of amenities here, but the real sort of bars and restaurants are in the nearest town. 14 kilometres from here is Svishtov. Svishtov is on the River Danube, and in Svishtov there are some very interesting places indeed. I've covered those separately in the past, but the kind of restaurants that they have are always interesting in some way or other. There's one I went to a couple of years ago, been back to this year, which has an open air courtyard as well as the inside space. And I went in the winter last time, so I didn't really get to sit out in the courtyard, but it has a nice little water feature, a number of antique items that are put up around the walls. The food is excellent, as most food in Bulgaria is. I had a very nice chicken dish this time when we were there, and Colin had a real sizzler pork dish that was served pretty hot, and you get a lot of it, and it's extremely good quality. And there was another bar cafe we went to, which was actually a roof terrace. In the winter I'd been to the indoors part, which was downstairs, but up on the roof it was even bigger. There were children's play facilities, and there was an outside area that was only about a quarter of the total space, where they built it around the trunk of a tree, and the tree's still there, and the tree goes right up through the canopy up to the sky, and the whole thing was such an interesting feature. These are the kind of things you'll find in Bulgaria. They obviously treasure their history, and they try to preserve as much of it as possible.
Hello? Pimlico Damp Routing?
If you'd like to be in when you're out, ring Rachel.
Well, I'm still down on the south coast at Portsmouth, and Colin is still in Bulgaria. He's been sending back some pictures, and the bathroom's finished and plumbed in, and the hot water tank's working, which is just as well if he's going to be staying there. You may notice that the bathroom now has a litter tray. Well, here's why. One of Davy's cats has somehow found its way to his house. The kitchen's now finished, and Rosie is cooking breakfast for everyone, and the spiral staircase leads upstairs, and one of the bedrooms is ready, and you can see down into the kitchen from up there. The upstairs entrance leads you to an upstairs landing. One of the bedrooms is still there with the original earth floor, and the other one has been properly floored, and there's enough wood left to do the second bedroom, so that's well underway. There's a single bed in the living room, and the internet is now connected, so they can watch the Maythorn Monthly on YouTube.
This is what I used to call the Arriva Train Care Depot in Chester, as Arriva Trains Wales had run the franchise for 15 years. But on Sunday, October the 14th, they handed over the franchise to Transport for Wales. I visited Chester Station on Sunday, October the 14th, because I didn't believe they could get rid of all traces of Arriva on the first day. The inset shows the Arriva logo on the trains, but by that Sunday they were all gone. All the trains that were still in the Arriva livery were blank, they had no writing on them, and some of them had already been changed over to the new red and white livery of Transport for Wales. The TFW service is actually run by Keolis Amy, who I believe are French and Spanish companies respectively, and they plan to introduce a new type of train over the next few years, which looks like this. And this is a CGI mock-up, of course, that you're looking at, and it does show the way that there's no ramps needed to the platforms anymore, and there's ample space for wheelchairs and bikes. I've also got some video of this type of train already on the tracks for Greater Anglia. I'm guessing the Northern Powerhouse Group have a lot to do with new trains being introduced up across the Pennines and in the northwest. This is a Transpennine train called the Nova 3, which is coming into service. And in my home area on the Wirral, we're served by Merseyrail, and their new trains don't come in till 2020, but I've already been on one. It's doing a bit of a tour at the moment, and I caught it in Birkenhead before it moved over to Liverpool. Again, the interiors have plenty of room for bikes and wheelchairs. They have the level platform access, that means you can do away with the ramps, and the driving cab is, like all the other trains, quite high tech. After having a good look round the train, including the driver's seat, I began to wonder how they got this thing inside a building in Birkenhead. So I looked on YouTube and I found a northern train, a new one, being delivered to site on the back of a low loader. Of course, once I'd seen this train on the back of the low loader, I wanted to know more about that as well. So I did a little research and found out it was a Spanish train, and it was built in Zaragoza and in this factory. So again, another high-tech train. But are they all, rather like cars, beginning to look a little bit the same? The main point is they're all looking a lot better than they used to.
So onwards and upwards for the rail industry.
And it was always the plan on the Maythorn Monthly to have some radio archives from my radio career in the 60s and 70s, and a little in the 80s as well. And I haven't been able to do that in the recent months because my big studio tape recorder developed a motor fault. Now, a friend of mine, Alan, has been having a look at that, and he discovered that there were some capacitors on the motor board that needed replacing. So we ordered those from Farnell's and Leeds. The motor control boards, which are shown here, now have new capacitors on them. It still doesn't work, but we just press on. Alan, my friend, is continuing to research. I've also given him the manual for the machine, and it's a machine, as you can see from the pictures, that you can take apart piece by piece and work on, which you certainly couldn't do with any modern equipment.
And so we come to the end of 2018, and of course that means Christmas, and I decided to add a bit of Christmas cheer from the 4 countries I'd been filming in. To make the display look balanced, I split the UK into Wales and England because I happen to live on the border and we had stuff from both sides. So we had Christmas greetings in 4 languages, and then we took a look round the Chester Christmas market. Unfortunately, these kind of markets haven't been taking place in 2020, so here's a look back to how it used to be. Just to prove this is a railway line, that train's a regional express. It's a stopping train. And back at home we're still working on our bungalow. Friend Colin has been putting down some wooden flooring in the hall. One of the things I do at the end of the year is start planning my video output for the following year, and that included making some new titles for 2019. So that was the Maythorn Monthly in 2018. I'd like to leave you now with these views around Marina d'Or, a place I've really missed being in this year. Although looking at the weather in the last few days and snow in Madrid and everything else, at temperatures of 7 degrees at Marina d'Or, perhaps this wasn't the best time to be going. Hopefully later in the year we'll be back there and we'll bring you some more video. For now, goodbye.